Well, hello, and welcome everybody to ZBrush Live. I am Ara, your host for the next couple of hours. It might be a little bit shorter today just because of the holidays, but this will be the last stream of 2022. So there are a few of you on here. I knew today would not be a very busy group of people, but it looks like there's quite a few on. So if you could please let me know in the chat if you can see my screen and if you can hear me okay, and we can get going. So while you are doing that, I would like to remind you all to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and ask questions during this, or you can also leave your questions in the comments and somebody will get back to you. So yeah, let's go ahead and get going. We're going to continue with this model today, and yeah, so hopefully somebody will chime in the chat and let me know whether you can hear me and see my screen. Okay. All right, so everything is great, and all right. Hello, Attentive Slug, and Hickman, I guess is the name. So okay, great. So we're good on Twitch, good on YouTube. Let's get going. All right. So just to kind of bring everybody to date, if you haven't tuned in, we kind of stopped the Mech for a while until the next version of ZBrush comes out, and I was going to render it in Redshift, but instead of exporting everything and doing it that way, I'll just wait for the next version to come out, and then I can just do it right in ZBrush, which will be a lot easier and a lot more convenient. So so that's kind of on hold. So season 7 is kind of on hold. We'll continue on again soon, but in the meantime, I wanted to do this, which basically was to take this image over here, which is something that I photo bashed from various AI images, and now I want to actually make this thing in 3D. So we started last time, and I showed how to project the paint on here, and this is the poly paint, and this is the geometry. As you can see, we have quite a bit of work to do to get these types of details to come through. I did a little bit of work off camera, not much. I think after the thing ended last time, I did a few things and then came back and sat at my desk, and I'm like, just noodle with it for a bit, and then I'm like, no, I should wait for the stream. Okay, so continuing on, if anybody has any questions about anything so far, let me know. And otherwise, I will just get going on this. So yeah, I'm trying to match. The mouth is going to be an interesting part, and it is one of the most characteristic parts of this model. So I want to be able to match this as well as I can. So first things first, what I'm going to do here is I had some cameras locked. Let me see. I'll just create a new one for this being here like that, because I worked in higher res, and that's kind of why these cameras that I've already made aren't working, but I'll just create a new one. There's that. And then what I want to do is just match this image onto what I have in the background. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more transparent. What I'm using here is Spotlight, which is such a cool capability in ZBrush. And just make this a little bit bigger. And just try to match this kind of shape as much as I can. Already I'm seeing that the ears need to go up a bit, but maybe not. Let's see here. And it's always, it'd be nice to kind of have this stay somewhat. And I think there are ways of doing it. I just don't remember what they are at this point. So here I'm still trying to get it to match as well as possible. I mean, I had it perfectly matched up, and probably would be in high res, but it'll take a minute or two to just get this corresponding to the image underneath. Yeah, I think the ears definitely need to get some work done to lift them up. That's fine, and I think this is looking good enough for now. Let's just leave it there. And Okay, and then I have a camera set here. So this is timeline. I don't know if you guys know about timeline, but it's pretty neat. So that if you move the model anywhere, you can just kind of drag this and it'll bring it back to where it was, like right here, to that point. Okay, and then I can just bring the image up and the image is right there. And yeah, so I can just work on it that way. All right, so let's get going here. First thing I noticed is I need to straighten this part out. Oops, wrong brush. Straighten this part out. And also, I do have some topology on this. This does have multiple subdivision levels. I'll show that as well. Bring down the subdivision levels. So it does have some topology behind it. And my cat's being naughty. So there is a little bit of topology, but I think the topology is going to break, especially in here. Right now, it's kind of holding okay. But I might just retopologize this later on and reproject. So for now, I think I'm good. But once we start seeing some stretching going on with the geometry, like specifically here, we will go ahead and retopologize if need be. But I think I'm good enough for now. I think I have enough. Got about, I think, 6 levels of subdivision, so I think I'm good for that. I don't really need to be working at the subdivision level right now. I could probably be at around 3 and get the basic shapes working for me. If you guys can just excuse me for 1 minute, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My cat was knocking stuff over because she does that every once in a while. Okay, so I don't need to be looking at the topology. I just need to be looking at this. And I kind of would like to have an image of this kind of on my screen. And if you guys want that image, by the way, it's on my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, you can see that I've posted it here. So I'm just going to bring it up on my Instagram, just have it on my other monitor, just so I can look at it. Oop, didn't want to do that. Bring it back up. Maybe bring it up to over here. Sorry about this. A little bit of delay. But yeah, I'm amazed that there's this many people on tonight. I really wasn't thinking there was going to be a big crowd, but wow, great. Hopefully everybody is having a good holiday. And I really appreciate you being with me at this time. And if you guys are artists, you probably aren't doing too much family stuff. I don't know, I shouldn't say that. I'm going by the stereotype that artists are usually reclusive people. All right, so here I'm just kind of trying to get, right, let's just move it back to where it was and bring this back. And I just want to make sure certain things are matching. Oh, cat's coming for a visit. I don't know if you guys can see her tail, but yeah, kitty, you can't be here. Sorry. I think one of these days she's just gonna completely disrupt my work. All right, so let's take care of the ears while I'm thinking about it. So I just needed to lift these up a bit. And again, this doesn't have to match the thing 100%, but I definitely would like to get some of the interesting features working on here. It doesn't look like it's centered. So let me move this over just a little bit. There. And I don't know if my thing is 100% symmetric like the photo bash that I did. Most probably it's not. Okay, so still need to tweak this. I've got a plugin somewhere that basically will bring up reference images where they were. I just have not used it yet. I guess this would be a good time to use it, but I just want to match some of these dimensions here with this outside part. Okay, I don't want the neck, but I want this part to go out, like so. All right, and I don't want to move this part. So yeah. All right, what is going on in the world? I saw Avatar. That was really a trip. Amazing how much the technology has gone forward in the time frame that between the different movies. I think they really kind of outdid themselves with the water scenes and the marine life. I think it's pretty amazing. I always like the mechanics in it too, like the bad guys and the stuff they have. It's always cool. All right. So another thing I can also do, by the way, is I did poly paint this part on top. So you can see here I've got some stretching going on, but I do have poly paint on here, so I could probably see what's going on with the poly paint. Wow, this is really demolished here. I might need to go to the highest subdivision level and repaint. So I'll go to my paintbrush, make sure that I've got, and I think, is it under modifiers where it is surface? I always forget where this is. Yeah, spotlight projection. It's under samples. There it is. Let's bring this back up. And let's see if I can paint this pattern back onto the geometry underneath and see what's going on there. Okay. All right. I think what I did is I moved these in a bit. I shouldn't have, but that's fine. Like I said, it's matching a photo is a bit of an adventure, but not too tough of a one. All right, and then let's hide the poly paint, see what's going on underneath. Okay. Trying to establish the different planes here, and again, the photo is 2D. I'm going into 3D, so I have to make some assumptions and make it somehow work in 3 dimensions, which is an interesting challenge, not an easy one, but not too hard. All right, wow, what a quiet chat we have today. What's going on with you guys? Anybody want to talk about anything? When I watch these things, I'm usually working, so I'm assuming some of you are doing the same. Oh, still really quiet. Here we go. Design dump. Is poly painting good for faking detail if you just want to make concept sculpts? I want to do concept, but the decision of 2D into sculpts is difficult. Well, I mean, yeah, it is. Again, it's all depending on time. I'm doing this is not something I have a deadline on, or I mean, the reason why I stream is because it's kind of a pleasure for me to do this. It's not doing work stuff. It's actually not doing work stuff. So I don't have a deadline. But if I did have a deadline, yeah, I would probably do whatever, every cheat that I could, projecting 2D Paint or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, it depends on again, the deliverable and the timing. So if you want to have the timing be, if you want to have the, if you're working for a project and you have a deliverable, then yeah, Polypaint will do just fine. I mean, here, if I just turn Polypaint on, like if I want to get an angle of this guy talking to somebody, I could probably get away with at least this angle, like at least this much. Let me just go up in subdivision levels here. Like, I mean, I could just kind of use this and photo bash it into something, like he's talking this direction, now he's talking this way, he's looking up, he's looking down. I can get, quite a bit of parallax with the guy, and get away with that. But like I said, I'm doing this because I actually want it to be a 3D object. And of course, there's a lot of controversy going on right now about AI. It's really blowing up in a big way, and I don't really want to. I guess I should get into it. I think that there's two things that I'm really afraid of. The first thing I'm afraid of is that a lot of these artists are making a big fuss about it, and nothing's going to happen. Like the companies are just going to be like, just watch us, steal your art and put it in programs, and by the time artists catch up or whatever happens, then these guys have already kind of made their money and decimated the industry in a way that is detrimental to the community. So that's one big fear that I have, and the other one is even is kind of on the other side of it, which is that the kind of the things that are going on disrupt this technology from being a viable thing that is beneficial. Like, for example, like generating this image for me was kind of a cool thing. It was, I sat around on Midjourney for a little bit and put in some prompts and got images, and then I didn't like any of them as Midjourney put them out. But doing a little bit of work afterwards, I kind of got to something that I really like, and now I'm making it into 3D. Could I have just done this from scratch in 3D? Probably, but it would have taken me a lot more time. So do I feel guilty about stealing other people's art by doing this? I don't think I am. Realistically, I don't think. I mean, I think there might be some elements of different artists' work in here, but I don't really see. Like, nobody can look at that picture and go like, yeah, this is this artist, or you're doing this, that, or the other. So I don't know. I don't think the technology is going anywhere anyway. And Eric is saying, "Oof, AI, LOL." Yeah. It's a really raging topic right now. Like, people are getting off of ArtStation because ArtStation isn't doing the kinds of things that they want. There's just a lot of weird, controversial things going on. And I'm 100% for artists getting paid and not getting ripped off. I'm kind of really unhappy that companies just didn't even think twice. I mean, and the sad thing also is that, like, for music, they did think twice. So for music, they're like, you can't use commercial music. But for art, they just didn't care. And ArtStation is a place where they scraped a lot of images from, and you can see that in the prompts. So, and I don't know if Epic is responding accordingly. I'm sure they will. I'm sure that their lawyers are all over figuring out how to not upset their clients. All right, so this here is completely not working. So I'm going to completely demolish it and start from scratch. So here I'm just going to take it down to low subdivision level and just do this to it. So now I have absolutely nothing there. I'm going to bring this back to here. And I'm going to bring my image back and projection paint this back on here. And I'm going to go up in subdivision levels to get more of that detail. I just want to get this painted onto the subject and then try and make it again. And this is kind of part of the hard part of this, is that, you know, like intricate things like this are going to take a few goes before I get it right. Okay, there's that. And I think one of the things I can do here is, let me see if I can do this. Adjust colors. Let me see if I can reduce the saturation. This, by the way, is really handy if you guys haven't used this adjust colors feature. So I'm just going to drop the hue saturation value down to this, and that, so now it's just black and white. So then that basically gives me a little bit more of the ability to see this stuff. And by the way, do I have UVs on this thing? Let me check. It'll be good to save this to come back to it at some point. No, I don't. Okay, let's create some UVs. I thought I had UVs on it. All right, no worries at all. I might have retopoed. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is it doesn't have polygroups. So I'm just going to do some very simple polygrouping here. I'm just going to mask oops. I'm going to mask this part like this, because this is really all I care about for UVs, and the rest I don't really care about. Okay, and then I'm just going to polygroup. If I hit Control W, it'll polygroup it, and then what I'm going to do is just use UV Master. And do I have no. Okay, Z plugin. There's UV Master, and we are going to use symmetry and polygroups, unwrap, and then let's see what these UVs look like when it's done. It's going to be pretty fast. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Not bad for just a few minutes of work. Okay, so now that I've got UVs, I'm just going to go all the way up to the highest subdivision level. And do this, and also, so now I'm just going to go to texture map here and say new from polypaint, and now I'll just have a texture map of this, so I can mess around with it as much as I want. I don't care. Once, you know, so I can go back to adjust colors and do the things that I did. So I'm just going to bring this all the way down, and let's see. No, I want the intensity. The intensity is fine at 0. Alright, so now I basically have this as a black and white image, so I can basically work with the shapes a little bit more. And then if I want the color, I can just turn this texture back on, right? So that's the texture map for it. And again, I can always repaint it. I can always do the other work. Alright, so we have some stuff coming in. Should use AI to the hard. It's nice and time to. Yeah. Oliver, you know, I'll respond to you in a minute. Oliver is saying that we should use the AI to do the hard stuff, and you know, the tedious stuff is, I think, what you're saying, and you know, that's true. And yeah, I don't know, Eric. I don't know if AI, UV Master uses AI. I'm not sure that it does. Sanjar, I'll answer your question in a minute too. Okay, so coming back to the topic of you know, one of the things that a lot of people that are arguing this issue are saying that, kind of be at maybe 5 here, and I just want to outline this area. So there's going to be this part over here like that. I think a lot of people are arguing that, like, why is AI doing, like, things that basically will take artists' jobs away versus doing, like, this tedious stuff, the things that are kind of, like rotoscoping. Like, why don't they have AI do rotoscoping or do things that artists hate to do? I know a lot of artists hate doing UVs. I personally don't mind it, but I know that it's one of those things where people just hate it. So yeah, I mean, artists are arguing that, like, hey, why don't we get AI to do the things that artists don't want to do versus taking jobs away from artists that are, it's already kind of a tough thing. And I think that's kind of what you're trying to say, and I agree with you. And then the other thing was, I mean, it's just, I don't think it's going to replace artists in a way. Like, I think a good artist is still a good artist. Like, there's not going to be, it's not going to be that easy to replace artists. I mean, I think artists are still needed. I just know that because I know what the decision chain is like. So somebody has to be there to tell the decision chain what's good and what's not. I've worked with a lot of producers, and most of them, I mean, even ones that are artistically inclined, are still need an artist's kind of feedback. But besides that, I think getting what you want with a prompt is still kind of a fleeting thing. Even though you get some interesting things, I don't know if you can still be very poignant about, like, this is exactly what I want. I want you to create this, and the AI does it for you. I think the danger there is that the AI does something and they're like, well, this is good enough, just do this. And that's what I'm worried about. But I'm already seeing it in movies. Like, I'm already seeing, like, stuff that's AI generated be in movies as backgrounds and whatnot. I saw that a friend of mine posted that they're creating environments, like HDR environments with AI. I saw somebody post that they are creating 3D objects with AI, so it's generating a point cloud and then making it into 3D and putting images on it. So I'm seeing a lot of developments, and I'm sure that a lot of investment money is going into this stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think the artist industry is that kind of a big thing to pluck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, if you take all the artists of the industry and put their work together, like concept artists and whatnot, like, I don't think it's that rich of a financial target to go after. But what do I know? So that's that. Sanjar, how to find a job in the game industry as a junior 3D character artist? That's a good question. So the way that I tell my students to find a job in the industry as a junior character artist is to not apply for a character artist job. I think that so if you look at games, for example, there are, let's look at kind of any game, right? There are 3 types of characters. There are, I'm moving off of this area because it's complex. I'm going to easier areas just because I know I can do a little bit more work, and I should not be kind of getting stuck in one area. So I tell my students that you know, there are 3 types of characters in games, right? There are I don't want to be that way. I want to rotate this way. All right, here we go. There are 3 characters. There's the hero character, and there's no way as a junior artist you're going to design a hero character. I mean, maybe it's happened sometime somewhere, but I think chances are on big games you probably won't be designing the hero character. You might be able to design a hero character on like an indie game or something like that. But even then, you know, you have to have some experience. So I think that's something that comes with at least 5 to 7, maybe even 10 years of doing the work. So in addition to hero characters, there's ancillary characters that are recurring characters. And again, those are kind of, you know, people that the character interacts with and whatnot. So then, you know, those jobs might be easier to find, but not as much. And then there are NPCs, right? There's all the, like, you know, bad guys and things that, like, there's 100 of them in a game or whatever. And for those types of things, I think it's easier to find a job doing those. But even before then, like, if you want to do character artwork, I think you also can do skins, right? So, like, a lot of games have skins for their characters, and you might be able to find a job making skins for the characters in the game. So, you know, I think that's kind of a lot of different things that you could do and look into. But realistically, there's only so many games that are made. I mean, even though it seems like there's a lot, there's so many games that are made. There are not a lot of them. And, you know, you probably will have a better chance finding work as an environment artist than a character artist. But it's not impossible. You could still do it. All right. Kind of, you know, not getting to this point. This part here is really pointy on the model, in the image, and here it's not. So let's get that fixed. Let's go down in subdivision levels to maybe about 2. Also, you know, I mean, character art-wise, you have to also know something about rigging and topology, especially for games. You have to know how to translate your models to low poly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, personally, I could do it. I could do character design for games. Or character development for games, but that's not what I want to do. I mean, I wouldn't mind designing them, but I don't want to be the person who kind of makes the game asset. I can help with that, but I don't want that to be my principal job. It would get kind of boring for me really fast. I know some people that would love to do that. All right. Eric, you got to run, but I'll be back in a bit. Have Mary. Okay, thank you. Same to you. I don't know how everybody else's holiday season is going, but mine's been a little bit crazy. was kind of hoping for a more kind of standard holiday, you know, season, but not in the books for this year, it seems. And I'm taking a little bit of freedom in kind of designing things a little bit differently than the AI image. Again, I can do that, whereas if this was kind of a production thing, they'd be like, nope, we want it to be exactly the same. We got the okay on this, so we want to match exactly what it looks like. There are some crazy, crazy, crazy guidelines in production, I must tell you. Like just really bad decisions made because people don't understand what's going on. It really makes sense to have a really good art director that understands the technology. Like a lot of times they put, like, I don't know, After Effects artists or people that are really good with 2D as a art director for art directing a 3D department, and you end up having to explain something over and over again, and hopefully they get it. And then freelance is a whole other weird thing where you have no idea what's going on in the review cycles with your work. Like you just submit your work and then you don't hear anything, and then they talk and do their thing and get back to you. Could you move the toilet a little bit to the left? That kind of stuff. Oh no, I'm doing voices. That's scary. All right. Again, I'm trying to, this area is kind of the hell area that I'm trying to avoid, but I have to actually do something about it. All right, so I'm just going to basically hardcore just sculpt this thing. Is the new render in the latest ZBrush update available, or is that, excuse me. If you go and watch the ZBrush Summit videos, and I'll show you where those are. So by the way, there's some changes to the Pixelogic channel. So if you go to videos here, this used to be all the videos, but it's not anymore. So they have the thank you thing here. They have the appreciation thing that they did, which was really cool. If you guys haven't seen it, they go through and appreciate some artists on ZBrush Live. But here are all the different presentations from the ZBrush Summit. And the one you want to watch is this one right here. And an official ZBrush presentation. So after this you can watch that, and they show it. And it's basically the next version of ZBrush is what it is. It's definitely not out yet. They said it's coming at some point. So I'm looking forward to getting that, specifically for the project I was working on before, because I definitely do want to do the rendering in there. So cool to see the demos that they showed. Oh my god, I was drooling the whole time. I did my presentation at the ZBrush Summit this year too. If you guys want to watch that, I highly recommend it. I showed some really cool stuff, kind of off my beaten path of stuff to show at or the stuff I do on the streams, but it's this one right here, which is the scan truck right here. And so yeah, I don't know why. I think it's gotten a low number of views because it's two different presentations in one. So the beginning part of it is the scan truck itself, which is very exciting, but a lot of people probably that's not something that is interesting to them. But my part kicks off like somewhere in the middle, and my part applies to character art, applies to a lot of really cool stuff. So if you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend that you do. I showed some really cool stuff. Stuff that I don't do on the streams, and stuff that I don't usually, stuff that I do for my job mostly for now, and yeah, so definitely check it out if you have not. And it's kind of, I'm gonna see if I can ask them to separate it out. I mean, not that the scan truck part isn't exciting. I think it's really cool personally. I think it's amazing. But I can see why some people will be like, well, you know, that's not something I can afford or can do. Although it's pretty cool what they do in it. But, yeah. Working with 3D scan data is a lot of fun, and especially like if you have a phone that and have an app, which, you know, the apps are pretty readily available, and have an app that should basically create this line first. Here we go. Here it is. If you have a phone, you can download apps, and then you can just take a bunch of pictures and generate a 3D object, and then you can clean it up. It's pretty cool, especially if you have time. But, you know, using the scan truck, I mean, it's pretty expensive to get a scan done. I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but it is still expensive. You can also buy scanned characters from 3D Scan Store, and yeah. It could save you a lot of time, and it's amazing to work with actual proportions, actual scan data. All right, this is coming along a little bit better. I think there's one that kind of goes in. I think that's the one I have a challenge with. I think it's right here. So it goes in. All right. No, I mean, you can get it for iPhones, but yeah, there are quite a few for Android as well. There's quite a few. As a matter of fact, if you watch the video, I list a few scan applications in my in the slide deck, and I do mention some that are actually Android apps. Yeah. I mean, any company making that stuff, it's just as easy to make it for Android. I think the problem is in the kind of cameras that you have. I mean, of course, the better camera you have, the more pictures you take, the better the result. But yeah. At work, we had a project which never came to fruition. But basically, we were working with clients that were far away, and we told them to scan some stuff for us using their phones. And it took me a very brief amount of time talking to them on the phone to tell them how to do it, and they were able to do it and send me the assets and you know, for me to clean up. But the project never really took off. But my part was okay. It wasn't because of my part. All right, so I have no idea what the back of this thing looks like, so I have to be creative in how I do it. And I'm just kind of coming up with my own ideas here. So again, just working the 3 different channels of, you know, primary, secondary, and tertiary shapes. So first thing I want to do is get the primary shapes working, and then get to secondary and tertiary shapes with this. Is the new render okay? No, we answered that already. All right. Emperor of Cheese has joined us. Hello, Emperor of Cheese. Okay. Right. There's a bot that's talking about Cineversity, which is pretty cool. I haven't checked out the Cineversity training for ZBrush. Has anybody? I don't know if you have to be a Maxon 1 client to get that or not. I'm still kind of getting my my bearings on the whole Maxon family of products. I learned a little bit of Cinema 4D. Definitely learned Redshift, because that's kind of what I thought would happen, is that you would just render in Redshift, but I didn't realize that they were just going to render right out of ZBrush, or right in ZBrush on Redshift. So it's not like you have to go to another app and just write in ZBrush. It's pretty amazing what they showed. The Emperor of Cheese. Wow. So at some point I'm going to separate out this front part right here. Like this is going to be a separate piece probably, and then probably there's going to be another separate piece over here. You can see me kind of start working on this area and then jump off. All right. One thing we haven't done. Let's see. How are we doing on time? I'm going to do a quick save, just to kind of make sure that this doesn't crash. Yeah, I don't have any trainings on Gumroad yet. I think art schools are expensive, but you do get some things with art schools that you don't get with personal learning. I mean, the biggest thing you get, I think, is, like there's so much stuff out there. There's so many companies pumping out training videos. I mean, I remember when I first started using software, the only way you could learn them was to, I mean, it was kind of, the manufacturers would have some videos and they'd be really cryptic. Neumann had them on VHS. I mean, that's how old, not how old, but how, that's like how long ago I've gotten into this. So, and it was really hard to get information, but now there's just so much of it. And I think the hard thing is to figure out what's good and what's not. And the most valuable thing is your time. So if you're spending your time watching videos and they're not good, then you'll be A, wasting your time, and B, even worse, you might be getting some bad habits that you probably should stay away from. So art school is beneficial in the way that it actually gives you a good curriculum of things to learn. They usually vet their teachers, so you'll be getting people that know what they're talking about. Most schools have industry people working teaching there, which is a good and a bad thing. Some industry guys are really bad teachers, but they definitely do the work, so they kind of can come in with that knowledge. So, but I mean, schools definitely have a very rigorous way of vetting, not vetting, I shouldn't say vetting, but basically making sure that their students are getting the best stuff. Now, that said, there's plenty of really good videos out there, learning stuff, and it's always getting better. So, so just, ask some people that that you trust, to let you know which videos are good and which videos are bad. My students until today contact me and ask me like, hey, I didn't learn this in school. I mean, that's the other thing too. If you go to art school, you're learning the latest version of the software, which is something that our schools have that industry does not. So like when I work for a client, it's very rare that they're using the latest version of the software. As a matter of fact, most companies that I've worked for recently still use Maya 2019. So, there are a few that use the 2023 version or whatever the latest version is. I think it is 2023. But most companies still use the old versions. Schools tend to have the newer versions, which is a good thing. But, by the time the students graduate, there's new features in the software. I mean, just think of ZBrush, like how many new features get added. So students should be in the mindset of continuing to learn all the time. And if they are, then they're asking me like, hey, I'm sorry, all right, when I learned from you, this thing wasn't available. So now that it is, what's the best place to learn it from? And it's smart of them to do that, because that way they and I'm good about answering them too. So, but if they hadn't gone to that school, they never would have met me. So you see the kind of the problem there. So if you can go to a school, I definitely highly recommend it. Also, what school you go to really matters. Depending on where you are, there's good schools pretty much in a lot of different countries, in a lot of different cities. So make sure you're going to a good school. If you are going to go to school. If you can't, then build yourself a curriculum and stick to it. All right, let's see. Brush hotkey, it goes back to the previous brush. How can I fix this issue? So your brush hotkey, what do you mean by your brush hotkey? And I can't, Rispigo, I guess that's your name. What do you mean by your brush hotkey? Any schools I recommend outside of California? Yeah, Full Sail is I've heard good things about Full Sail. I've worked with people from Full Sail. Not Full Sail. Yeah, am I saying that right? RISD is another one. I've worked with some people from RISD. They're good. There's a couple of British ones that I'm forgetting the name of right now. But I should kind of make a list. I don't have one. Oh, you said a hotkey for a brush. So you basically went in and chose a number for the brush. So like, I mean, I have hotkeys. Like if 1 is ZModeler, 2 is Move, 3 is Damien Standard. But it's, I don't have to press it down. I can just go between them. How are you setting your brush hotkeys? Shift D. I think Okay, so Shift D is a bad brush to use for that because I think Shift D has a function. I think that's probably why. What does Shift D do? I think it has something to do with subdivisions. Let me see here. Geometry. Yeah, see lower subdiv. If you go to lower subdiv, it's Shift D. So don't use Shift D. I think that's your problem. Use some other keys. I use the number keys for hotkeys. They work really well. All right, let's get that polypaint off, see what we got underneath. See, polypaint looks really good, but once you take it off, you know, then you kind of see some of the problems. But I think this area is coming together. And hopefully by the end of today, we will have a good good thing for it. And part of the problem I think here is that I am actually fighting the topology. So I might do a retopo at some point. Once I get the planes established, I'll do a retopo. Still don't have the planes established correctly, it seems. The other thing that's kind of interesting is, you know, this is probably going to be disturbing to hear, is that I feel that a lot of the students that are in some of the schools that I teach, I think take a lot of things for granted. And what I mean by that is that I think like one student was telling me that, hey, you know, why am I learning all these things? I can always go to YouTube to find out how to do something. And that was really kind of a disturbing thing to hear, because I think that, you know, I mean, if you know exactly what you're looking for, maybe you can find a video on YouTube that shows you what to do. But you know, how do you know that that video is a good video? How do you know if that source is a good source? I mean, for ZBrush, there's quite a few good ones. Like you know, if you watch a Michael Pavlovich video or a video by Pablo Munoz Gomez, you know, those videos probably will give you your answer. But if you just go and watch some person like, you know, some bro, some bro saying, yo bro, you know, do it this way and that way, you might just be getting some bad advice. So yeah. So you have to build a certain foundation before you kind of can trust what's on YouTube. I mean, me personally, I always kind of, you know, I'm looking for, you know, I mean, there's no way you can keep everything in your head. I always go and find stuff, but I know, you know, within seconds of watching something, I know whether it's feasible or if it's not. And a lot of it is not. A lot of it is really bad. And you're basically leaving it to the mercy of the search results of the search engine, which has its own agenda, and it's not yours. All right. Hey, Sir One Toys, how's it going? Yeah, I would stay away from using the D keys for anything, like Shift D, Control D, Alt D. Those are all, like ZBrush really depends on those keystrokes. Also, by the way, ZBrush has really good support. So like if you are having a problem, you can always, I mean, of course you can ask here and I'll do my best to answer it. Most times I probably will give you the right answer, but I don't know everything, and they do. So they have really good support. If you are having challenges, you can always contact them as well. They're still one of the companies that you get really good support with. Yeah, Shane is really good too. I'm sorry, I forget to mention him. Shane Olsen is really good as well. And they stream. All three of those guys stream, so you can always ask them the questions if you catch their stream. I think they stream I don't think they stream as frequently as they used to. I think they stream once a month. I'm sticking to 2 a month, and I'm going to continue into the new year. Although I need to put in my dates. I haven't done that yet. But I'll probably continue to do it like Friday on, Friday off. Like I have been. So you can see, like, slowly but surely this thing is coming together. And at some point, once I get to getting the exact shapes, I'll start peeling pieces off and making them their own geometry. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of this is one of those things that I really enjoy, and I don't want it to turn to work. I just want it to be something I do outside of work, just because it is very kind of relaxing for me just to work on my own stuff and be my own art director, be my own editor. And I just put some lines down. I can't see them. Where'd they go? I don't want any of this stuff. I want that. Okay, there. All right, let's see. Yep, here we go. So you can see I'm basically just using the few brushes that are on my color wheel, or my Wacom wheel, this thing. So I'm jumping back between Damien Standard and H-Polish just to kind of get the shapes to work. I used the Move tool quite a bit last time. I'm not using it a lot this time. And also, I'm trying to see, like, is the silhouette working? I mean, this thing works from the front. Not much of a silhouette there, but is this silhouette working? Let's see. Speaking of the Move brush, let me take this down and see if I can get the silhouette to be a little bit more. I'm just kind of looking at this. It would be nice if I could just go down this way. Let's see if it works. Nope. But maybe I can do it from the bottom part. I think the picture kind of looks more like that. No, too much. I think it works this way. I think this is good enough. All right. Okay. Good. Great. Good. You figured it out. Yeah. You know, there's some keys are toggle. Shift is a toggle. That's definitely the case. All right. Anybody else saw Avatar? Nobody? Oh, by the way, if you do get a chance to see it, I think you will be doing the movie and yourself a disservice if you don't see it in the theater, A, and B, if you can, see it in large scale, like see it in IMAX and in 3D. It's so good that way. It's pretty long. 3.5 hours. But yeah, it's definitely worth seeing in a big theater. I mean, there's so many details you'd miss if you didn't see it in a theater. I'll probably get the Blu-ray when it comes out, but I know it's not going to be the same. You know, I was telling my my kids that you know, they were saying, "Wow, it's 3.5 hours." I'm like, just wait until the even longer version comes out when they release it the second time on DVD. But I'm really kind of focusing too much on the details of this area, which I shouldn't do. All right, back to here. Let's see if I can make this work today. If I can get this thing to work today, I will be a happy man. All right. Your experience of lag from dynameshing an FBX file. I've done it with STL file with triple the amount of points with no issue. Do you have any ideas? Well, yeah, I do have some things I can recommend. The first thing you should do is go to Geometry. So go to the Geometry tab under Tool and go onto Mesh Integrity and do a check mesh. And if it comes up with errors, do a fix mesh. So that will take, that will maybe remove some of the issues with the FBX file. Yeah, so that's one thing you can do. And then also, try dynameshing at a lower resolution just to see if it does do it, and then undo and then up the resolution and try it again. But yeah, that's what I would do. What kind of FBX? Where's the FBX file coming from, if you don't mind my asking? Yeah, see how much I'm struggling here in this area because the topology is just not agreeing with it. Like you can see what's going on here. Not conducive. I probably will have to retopologize at some point. Which is not that big of a deal. I'll probably do it a few times during this adventure. This is going to be a lot easier too once these pieces are separated out. I just have to figure out what to put inside here. That's going to be an adventure too. All right. A 3D scanner to make the file from real life, export to STL to FBX. I see. Yeah, I mean, if you're using a 3D scanner and you get an FBX file, it should be fine. But do that check mesh and fix mesh. Also, watch my video because that's what I do is I cover what the different steps are that you need to do initially to get the thing cleaned up. So watch my ZBrush Summit video, and that's over here. So one more time. So if you just go to Pixlogic's, Maxon, I guess, if you go to their channel, if you go to ZBrush and go, I guess it's still called the Pixologic ZBrush channel. But if you go to their, if you go there, go to the scan truck, which is this one, and about halfway through is where I start. So then start watching my part, and I show how to bring that data in and the state that it's in, and how to kind of, you know, some of the issues that scan data has and how to kind of go around it. Am I streaming on multiple platforms? Yes, I am. I'm streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And I think they save it on Twitch for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure. I haven't checked. I know on YouTube it's there forever. Well, until, you know, YouTube changes something. And I know that Facebook, they're on the page, on the Pixologic or ZBrush page. It's going to be weird to kind of make that transition. It'll take a few years. I can't believe it's been a year. It's been a year since that happened. Oh, and I should mention that there is a newer version of ZBrush that you can get. It's not the one with Redshift in it, but it is a updated version, which is 2022.0.7. That's what I'm running here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's up here in my title. But you can go get it, which is the latest version. I don't know specifically what they changed in it, but I'm sure they addressed some issues and bugs and whatnot. Probably going to be the last point release for this year. I don't think they're going to release another point release. I mean, the year's almost over anyway. Is there a way to tear a mesh apart and stitch it back without Dynamesh? I don't know specifically what you're asking. How you mean? I don't know what you mean by tearing it apart. Can you give me an example? Maybe if you tell me what kind of models you're working with, I can maybe even guess. But remesh by union, yeah, I mean, that might work. But again, depends on what he's doing. I kind of, if you tell me what specifically you're working on, I can help out. Like, is it a human being? Is it a car part? Is it a, you know, jewelry? Is it like, because ZBrush can be used for so many different things. A belt. You want to turn into two overwhelmed? Yeah, like, well, I mean, yeah, you can. What I would do is, let's say, I don't know, let's say there's a belt going this way. Here, let me actually not work on the actual thing. Let me see if there's another model here. This is an older version of it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's say there's a... Or let me just see if I can load in... what's the best way to do this? All right, so let's say there's a belt over here. Oh. Add some subdivision levels. Like, let's say this is your scan data, and let's say your belt is over here. So what you do is you just use like the mask to mask it out. Right, so let's say this is the belt. It kind of goes around. Actually, there's probably an easier way of doing this with lasso. All right, so let's say this is the thing that is going around, and what you want to do is you want to tear that off. The best way to do that would be to use the extract option. So here under Tool, go to Extract, and then just do an extract. And you can see it'll just extract it out for you. This is actually a preview. If you hit Accept, it will, you know, let's just do it. Okay, so now there it is. And then it's now its own separate thing, and it's also got the details of it. So then, you know, if you want to overlap them, you just duplicate this. And I'm just doing a really rough thing here. So there's the duplicate. Let's unmask it. Just put this in the center of it. Let's turn symmetry off. Right? And then just kind of do, you know, here's one, here's two, you know. And then I'm just going to rotate it. Just go to the move brush and just move it out. So here's the overlapping one. I mean, again, this is really rough, but hopefully it gets the idea across of how to do it. If you go to last year's ZBrush Summit, I also talk about scan bashing, which is basically taking parts of scan data, clothing and whatnot, and repurposing them. So it's like a very short tip. So just look for ZBrush Summit 2021 and you know, my name, and then it should come out. So hopefully this answers your question. And by the way, this is really thick. It doesn't have to be. You can adjust the thickness. So here under extract, there's a thickness, and you can adjust that a lot less than this thickness over here. And this is recorded, so if you want to watch it again, you can go back and watch it. Watch me do it again to get the details. All right, this is kind of getting to where I wanted it to go, but it's still a little bit rough, so let's kind of start. Yeah, by the time I'm done, this is going to be pretty nice and tight. All right. This is looking a little bit better. It's still not what I want it to be, but by the time I'm done, it's going to be exactly what I wanted it to be. Oh, didn't want to do that. All right. Anybody here from the East Coast of the United States? That's the other thing too. There might be a lot of people not able to watch this live because they probably are having blackouts. Because a lot of the country is kind of going through this really horrible storm right now. I don't know why this thing keeps going off my screen. Do I have it? Yeah, I do. I think at some point, what's the dimensions on this thing? Let's see here. At some point I need to get this to be, yeah, it could be a little bit bigger, I guess. It's fine though. Again, I'm really astounded at, even with the storm and even with the holidays, of the number of people that are watching. Thank you for being on. Here I'm trying to get a circular shape. Another thing I should also kind of mention is that I am working on a new brush for ZBrush. That's going to be pretty interesting, and I will put it on Gumroad soon. The problem with that kind of stuff is, like, I can make the brush, it's fine, but productizing it, creating like all the images, the promo images, the copy and all that, the text is kind of time consuming, and I don't have anybody helping me. It'd be great if somebody was helping me, because I could put out so many things, but I just don't have the time to do those things. But hopefully after the holidays I might have a bit of a break and do it. Right, here I'm very roughly kind of trying to sculpt the back of this. Are there any other subtools here that are causing this issue? I did put some eyes in here, by the way, last time. They're pretty rough for now. I do kind of have a body too, but I think I might just stick with a bust for now. And I'm just going to try and see. So a good way to kind of measure a circle is to just change the brush size. And it looks like I need to do a little bit more over here. Remember to change the brush size back. All right, here we go. Yeah, it's weird when I zoom out. Oh, that's why I don't have local on. So if you have this problem where you're trying to rotate something and move it or whatever, and it's just acting really wonky, make sure you have local on. I inadvertently turned it off, and that was kind of. I mean, it's amazing how you adjust your body, your muscle memory adjusts, but still, I was kind of going like, what is going on here? Something's wrong, and I'm glad I looked. Again, this back part is completely ad-libbed. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm assuming that this is going to be a good way of having it be. And I'm assuming that this thing here is some sort of a earphone or headphone. And I'm doing something that I preach, which is, you know, don't work on the same place for a long time. It gets really tedious. So here I'm just moving all around with the model, working on different parts. Just want to mask this area so I don't mess it up. And this is probably one of the favorite things that I like doing in ZBrush, is just doing this, you know, kind of initial work. Establishing shapes, establishing forms. I don't think I want this to be flat, so I'm just going to inflate it a bit. All right, let's see. How useful is that Wacom on-screen control wheel? Is it a must? It is for me. I had another tablet vendor approach me recently, and they had a pretty good tablet. I tried it out. I worked with it for a little bit, and I liked it, but it didn't have that wheel. So I told them, and they are working on it. So I think for my workflow, it really helps. So it's a must for me, but I know a lot of people would hate it too, so depends. Nice thing is that there's so many amazing, talented ZBrush artists, and they all kind of have their ways of doing it. There's no like hard, fast, this is how you do it, or you don't. You know what I mean? Trying to create features that kind of cater to the design language of the AI. This junction over here is going to be an interesting one. And I have the freedom, again, this is off the image, so I have the freedom to do whatever I want here. But it has to work with the image itself. It'd be interesting to like take an image and put it into AI and say, give me the side view. I don't know if that works. I haven't tried it. I will, now that I think about it. Like, it'll be interesting to pop this image that I created into AI and just say, hey, can you give me the side view of this, and see if it does it. All right, let's bring the polypaint back. This is working. Let's pop this back here. Let's bring the image back. Okay, so the ear things that I did aren't really conforming to that, so I'm going to clip them back. Did not want to do that. No, come on. Oh, it did it. But this is what I was worried about. No worries, we'll do it this way. That's not going to do anything. Oh, yeah, actually, that's weird. Okay. Sometimes you accidentally do what you want to do. All right, let's take the poly paint back off. And let me beat back this area. The current what Wacom's? Gene Wacom's? What's the Gene Wacom? Is that a new one? I'm using an Intuos. I mean, I've had it for a very long time. It's very dependable. It's great. The only things I have new things of are the nibs. So every once in a while, I notice that my nib is like down to nothing. So it's flat. Like usually they're kind of, there's a little bit of a circle on them, and sometimes it's just yeah, the latest gen have them. I mean, the driver, you can use older ones. I know a friend of mine that I gave an older Wacom to, and it's a pretty old one, and he wanted to use it, and it still does work. Yeah, see, like a lot of this work that I'm doing is going to be kind of is going to pop off. Okay, so there's kind of I think this is that line. And then there's another thing this way that I don't have here. This thing right here. And there also is this going on that I should have. Yeah, that breaks this up nicely. I should store a morph target, but this is, like I said, this is kind of more very freeform what I'm doing right now. But once I get closer to it being what I want it to be, I will get more into, you know, storing morph targets and, you know, making more of these minor changes. Yeah, turning on that local made a huge difference. What level am I working at? 5? Yeah, let's go down to 4. So by next time, you know, maybe I'll do it on screen. Maybe next time I'll retopologize this. Today I don't want to do that just because I kind of want to get into the groove of getting this to have some of the shapes that I want. And next time, maybe on screen, I'll just do the retopology because I'm sure you guys would like to see that happen. All right. Yeah, but the color wheel just makes life a lot faster for me. Not the color wheel, the Wacom wheel. It'd be nice if it was in color, but it's not. Yeah, Wacom hasn't come out with a new tablet for a while. I think the latest thing they came out with is a new Cintiq, which is pretty sweet. A friend of mine at work has it. And but yeah, the tablets, it's the same ones that have been around for like, I don't know, 3-4 years maybe, even 5. So I talked to them at Lightbox Expo, and they did mention that you know, probably there will be some coming out. You know, they said it in the same way they always do. We can't deny or confirm, but we're pretty sure that, you know, we'll be updating them. I don't know what else they can add. I mean, this pretty much does everything I need. I know some ZBrush artists that use some really, really old Wacom tablets. They still work perfectly. All right, let's just save. Oh, wow, that was pretty fast. Let me do it one more time just to make sure it happened right. It did. Wow. Yeah, it's great when you're at the stage of the model where it's not really too dense, and autosaves are really rapid. What are we doing on time? Oh, good, good. We've got plenty of time left. But yeah, any topic on in my feed and on Facebook or Instagram or whatever that mentions AI, it's like, 75 comments, rabble. Like, people are really, really pissed off about it, and I understand why. But damn. Like, there's no AI kind of the AI with the the line through it, and all sorts of people just not happy. I wonder if I should, let's see if this works. Nope. think what I want to do, kind of made a mistake here, but easily fixed. I just forget you can do the shift key to get that straight line. All right, I think that's looking better. Yeah, that really kind of broke up this part nicely over here. Looks better from the side too. I think if this comes out successful, I'll 3D print it too. So when I used to teach at Art Center, they used to have a 3D print lab there, which is pretty cool. I could just take the stuff over. At Otis too, I could just take stuff over and just have them print it for me. I mean, they would charge me, but not a lot. It'd be great if there were like 3D print labs like there were photo labs in the past. Like you can just go drop it off and pick it up. There might be some in LA, I'm not sure. The problem with 3D printing also is like the cleanup is a pain. I don't know if that's gotten any better. Yeah, that's looking good. Pretty happy with the results so far. Even this area on the bottom that I was worried about is looking good too. Just have to figure out what to put inside here. Maybe I'll do that now. Let me just duplicate this thing. Take it down to subdivision level. Delete the lower and higher, so just a blob. And let me see this thing. Okay, and I'm just going to Dynamesh this. Just really rough. Let's see, let's go for a lot less resolution. Not that less. Maybe there. Let's see what that looks like. That's good. And I don't need this bottom part. Just gonna cut it out. Nope. Did it do it? No, that's kind of weird about knife tools. Like it does. It should work with symmetry. Is it on? It is. Yeah, I don't need a lot of this right here. Let's do that one more time. All right. So basically this is going to be the inside part. Let me shrink it down a bit. To about there. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating this part that's going to go inside here. And the eyes, you know, maybe the eyes too. And I want to make this a different color too, so let's go darker. RGB fill object, and let's go back to light. Yeah, so this is going to be the inside part of the, you know, like part of the creature, I guess, or whatever. And it's pretty low res right now. There isn't much geometry to it. But it'll be like the inside, you know, kind of the meaty, fleshy parts that are underneath. And I think doing that has made this area a little bit better, easier to work with. There we go. What's going on? Oh, here we go. Man, it's gotten really quiet. You guys still there? Wow, number is going up of people here, but you guys are quiet. All right, that's looking more and more like the way I want it to look. We are doing good. All right, so let me go back to this piece. All right, the Emperor of Cheese is sculpting along. All right, Emperor of Cheese. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I usually do the same thing when I'm watching tutorials. I'm usually working alongside the person. All right. Yeah, that's an interesting thing you mentioned about company, is like I always thought it would be cool if there was an app, and I think there are. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't know why I'm getting sleepy. But I think there are apps where you can, like multiple people could be sculpting and streaming. I think Pixelogic did that last year, where there was a bunch of us just working on stuff, and Paul was jumping back and forth between the different streamers. I don't know why we didn't do it this year. right, so I'm going to dynamesh this thing on the inside one more time at this level of detail. So I subdivided once. Let me just make it one polygroup too. I don't need two polygroups. Also, I'm probably going to get rid of the parts I don't need. Like, I don't think I need the head. So it's going to go to... Oh, okay, that's fine. All right, so dynamesh. But I want to pick this resolution and dynamesh it. There it is. And then I can just get rid of this part, which is not showing up. We could probably go all the way to here. Gone. Gone. All right, let's see what we are left with. Let's do transparent. I don't think I need this. Well, and I definitely don't need any of this back here. Let's get rid of that too. All right, let's see what we got. That, and redynamesh it. I think that is good enough. So I'm not carrying all that extra geometry along with it. It's good to optimize when you can. All right, that's gone too, and one more time, one more redynamesh, and yeah, that's good. So that's going to be the inside part like that. So I can get rid of this part here too. Okay. Turn off transparent. Okay, that all is there. It's inside. Cool. Let me bring it back the eyes, see what we're getting here. Yep, it's coming back. It's coming to life, slowly but surely. All right, back to here. Let's work a little bit on the shoulder and stuff. We haven't given that area any love at all. Probably put a kit bash part over here. I'm just going to make the room for it. That's weird. The mask is kind of doing some weird stuff. Why is that? Ah. Mask pen. What is going on with the mask? I wonder if gradient is on with the mask. Let me turn that off. There we go. That's what the problem was. Let's do that. And then let's make the mask smaller. Blurring it. Do this over again. Invert the mask and push it in. All right, that makes the room for it. Probably should have done this at subdivision level 4 or something. Yeah, and I'll just pop a kit bash part in here. And I'm taking all sorts of liberties here because, again, the image has some stuff in there, but not really much to go by. That's good enough. And I probably will have like some sort of a jacket or something that goes on top here. Just have to determine what the lines of that are. There. See, this is the kind of stuff where, you know, people ask me, well, you know, can't I use another 3D package? And like this 3D sketching that I'm doing, I have not found any other program that can allow you to do this kind of work. I mean, I know you can sculpt in Blender, but I don't know if it's as, you know, conducive to what I'm doing. I should try it. Just invert that mask, pull this part out. Right now it's pretty rough, but I'll straighten it out. And again, I'm fighting all sorts of topology over here to get what I want, but it's fine. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, definitely not. I think the well, I mean, there's a few programs that can handle multi-million polygons. I think these guys were there first, and they were there in the right way. Try to chisel this away to be a straight line. I wonder if I should continue doing this. Again, I'm struggling with the high res of this, and I shouldn't be. Drop down to level 3. All right, I think we're getting close to time here. So if you guys have any last minute questions or things you want to talk about, now is the time. And after that, I guess we're done for the year, and I'll be back in 2023. Let's see, what's the next date? I think January 6th, it looked like. Wow. Date that will live in infamy. Yeah, January 6th is my next stream, I guess. So, I will see some of you hopefully on that day. Is it January? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, there's a whole week that's going to go. And then, yep, 30th and then 6th. Emperor of Cheese, I'm glad you liked it. Glad to have you on board. I wish I knew what your real name was. But maybe one of these days I'll meet some of you. Because right now you're just like, you know, avatars of pretend names. All right, I think that's going to be it for me for now. So I want to wish you all happy holidays, whatever you celebrate and wherever you are, and hopefully you're having a peaceful and calm holiday. And soon we will see you again in next year. And with that, I bid you all happy ZBrush.